Hello everyone, it's January 2024 and these are the Spielberg movies I watched this month. So I started off by watching Jaws just because I knew this was so iconic and it put Spielberg on the map. But I think something that sort of hinders that is because of its popularity, it sets a certain precedent and people want to live up to that. And so as years have gone on, people have improved on sort of the styles that Jaws has in terms of suspense and thriller and all that. I think it does still offer a good amount in those categories, but I think it has been done better recently. It is still just genuinely a good, entertaining movie, and it's really well made, well put together. All the actors did a good job. Great effects with like the shark puppet and all that. That's super cool. So while I did quite enjoy this movie, it still feels very standard because of how iconic it is. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This is my favorite of Steven Spielberg's movies. I absolutely loved it. It's actually up there with some of my favorite movies just in general. The whole movie is just so captivating and intriguing with intense emotions, and it just takes you on this crazy journey full of mystery, and it goes places that you just wouldn't ever expect. Like the last 30 minutes of this movie, I just had my jaw wide open, just taking it all in because it's just incredible. This is clearly a passion project for Spielberg. It comes through really well just from how much personality this movie has, from the incredibly striking visuals. The use of those bright lights is really, really good. That 5-tone musical motif, I don't know how that is not more iconic. To the whole mystery element where there's just a lot going on and it comes together really nicely. The characters are just really interesting, especially the lead, as you just watch him become so obsessive about this thing that he can't explain. It's just all really, really interesting. And as I said before, the finale is incredible and it brings it all together really, really nicely. After watching this movie, I was already like, I want to rewatch this sometime soon because it is now up there competing with my favorite movies. And then I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. This one just feels like your quintessential adventure movie. And I think it kind of suffers from the same fate as Jaws in that way, where it's so iconic that now it doesn't actually feel as original because we've seen that same sort of style lots of times. But again, it's still just a fun movie. It's not anything real deep or thought-provoking, but it doesn't need to be. It's really well made. All of the sets are cool. All of the action scenes are just fun. The characters are all just perfectly charming. So I think this is just a good standard adventure movie. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now I know people don't like this one as much because they say it's too dark for an Indiana Jones movies. But while I agree that's not as good as the other two, I didn't actually feel like it was dark. It certainly was in like subject matter, but the overall tone felt pretty lighthearted, and the whole movie just seemed very silly to me. I actually felt like there was more humor in this one than there was in the last one, even if a lot of the humor is unfortunately quite unsavory. The whole thing just doesn't feel too serious to me. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, in general, I think this one is fun. I feel like the characters actually did take a step down. I feel like that has partly to do with the fact that this is a prequel, and so actually the whole movie kind of suffers from that. It feels very strange. But yeah, this one, my least favorite, but I would still say it's quite fun. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This is my favorite of the 3 Indiana Jones movies I've watched. And I think it really feels like they found a balance between the more serious and more comedic and fun moments. And so this one has a really good balance where there's some fun action sequences, there's some really solid humor and stuff, and they're still able to do serious moments quite well. I really enjoyed Indiana Jones's interactions with his father because they were either just really solid comedy moments, but also they were able to do more emotional stuff with that relationship, and I think it was overall just really well done. Then I watched AI, Artificial Intelligence. Now, if you didn't know, this was originally Stanley Kubrick's project before he passed it on to Steven Spielberg. And that was what really hooked me into getting me to watch this movie because I was like, this is pretty much the collaboration of two of the greatest filmmakers ever. And I feel like the results of that collaboration were actually incredible. I loved this movie. It is so unique and bold in style that it's just impossible for me to not love. It has such a gripping and emotional narrative that keeps you intrigued the entire time, even if it has a slightly long runtime, which I do think maybe you could critique that, it could be cut down a little bit, but I was into it the whole time that it didn't matter. The movie has so much personality in terms of the camera work, the lighting, just the overall visuals of it is so striking. The characters are all charming, and the main character especially does a great job at really getting you invested into this movie. So I just don't get why people don't talk about this. It's an incredible movie to me, and it was created by two of the greatest filmmakers. To cap this month off, I watched Minority Report, which I felt like was heavily carried by the great concept and overall mystery element, because this whole world, this futuristic world that was created, I think was really cool, and all the world building around that was cool. The whole idea of, stopping crimes before they happen, that's a really good concept. And the mystery element is what really kept me watching through the whole thing. But overall, I felt like the characters I didn't really care for too much. There was a lot of dialogue that I didn't feel like was super well written. I couldn't quite place my finger on it, but it just didn't really work too well. And those were all the movies I watched this month. I'm definitely going to watch more Spielberg, but please tell me your thoughts. Remember to save the blobfish, and I'll see you guys next time.